In a world teetering between hope and annihilation, legends are forged not in silence, but in chaos. The Justice League, God's soldiers, icons, are Earth's first and last line. They train, they bleed, they sacrifice. And then one day someone else shows up. No training, no struggle, no origin worth remembering. Just one bald man in a yellow jumpsuit and a power that laughs in the face of gods. It was a Tuesday. The kind of Tuesday Metropolis was used to sunshine breaking through steel gray clouds, hovering cars blinking overhead, and commuters arguing with AI parking meters. Until 2:47 p.m., 12 Thanagarian warships materialized in the skies over downtown. The air split with the howl of ion drives. Nth metal hulls shimmered in the sunlight like predators in motion. Within seconds, coordinated precision strikes rained down on the financial district. Banks, transport hubs, communication towers, the heart of the city, were shredded with weapons built for planetary conquests. Civilians scattered in every direction. Glass rained from above. Streets collapsed. Fires roared. This wasn't a warning. It was conquest. Metropolis Special Crimes Unit responded fast, but fast wasn't enough. Pulse rounds sparked against Thanagarian armor. Drones were swatted from the air like flies. The warships hovered like birds of prey, weapons glowing, waiting for resistance to crumble. And then came the broadcast. Every screen, every frequency. A harsh voice modulated through alien tech. Surrender or burn. The Justice League? Superman was in Gotham consulting with Batman. Wonder Woman was locked in a UN diplomatic summit. The Flash was battling Weather Wizard in Central City. For 8 minutes, Metropolis stood alone against an enemy that had toppled 17 planets. 8 minutes of fire, panic, silence, and screams. Until the warships stopped firing. They didn't retreat. They froze. Because something or someone had just appeared. At the intersection of 5th and Seagull, a kill zone moments earlier, stood a man in a yellow jumpsuit, red gloves, and a white cape that barely fluttered in the smoke. He was bald, calm, expressionless, and visibly irritated. Not scared, not determined, just annoyed. 3 Thanagarian shock troopers locked onto him. Sensors scanned. Result, human. No power signature. No threat level. Just a guy. The lead trooper raised his mace, nth metal weapon, forged to rip through tank armor. Move aside, human. This world belongs to the Thanagarian Empire. The bald man looked up, bored. Can we not do this today? There's a sale ending in 40 minutes. Vegetables. 20% off. That's rare, man. The Thanagarians exchanged glances. This was either a glitch in their scans or a lunatic. The commander gave the order. The first trooper dived, mace raised high, kinetic servos pushing the strike past 80,000 psi. The kind of blow that cracks concrete and tears steel. The bald man just raised one hand, flat, palm up, like he was shooing away a door-to-door salesman. Clang. Not a squish, not a crack, a clang, metal hitting something that didn't budge. The trooper's eyes widened. He pushed harder. The mace began to glow with kinetic overload. The man's hand didn't move. No flinch, no recoil, no tension, just immovable. And then he flicked his wrist. Boom. The trooper shot backward, faster than his own armor's tracking system could process. His body tore through the hulls of 2 warships, vanishing into the clouds like a missile on fast forward. The remaining 2 shock troopers froze. The bald man, now cracking his knuckles, sighed. All right, let's make this quick. What happened next would be reviewed, debated, dissected, and disbelieved across every news network, hero satellite feed, and government agency on Earth. All 11 remaining warships opened fire. Simultaneously, directed energy blasts. City-leveling firepower. They converged on one point, a lone man standing on a cracked street corner. The intersection turned into a sun. 15 seconds of hell. Vaporized concrete, superheated air, smoke and plasma filled the sky. And then, silence. Sensors scanned for confirmation of kill. But then the smoke cleared. and the bald man was still standing, unharmed, unscratched. Not even his cape was singed. He looked down, brushed dust off his jumpsuit, and muttered, "Really? That's it." Then he jumped. Not flew, jumped. Like he was avoiding a puddle. 300 feet up, straight into the air, toward the nearest warship. When his fist connected, the warship didn't explode. It folded, like someone had crushed a soda can with their mind. The hull crumpled, reality bending inward around the point of impact. No energy blast, no scream, just metal giving up. He landed, jumped again. Second warship, same result. 1 punch per ship, 12 Thanagarian warships. 90 seconds, all gone. One tried to escape. The last ship powered its engines, climbing for the stratosphere. The bald man sighed, jumped one more time. This time, his punch came mid-air, arcing through the clouds like a comet. He didn't hit the warship. He hit the air. The pressure wave slammed into the warship like a hammer of gods, flipping it end over end before it smashed into an abandoned parking garage. Metropolis went silent. The man in yellow landed again at 5th and Seagull, dusted off his gloves, pulled out an old flip phone, and frowned. 35 minutes left, and I still need to take the subway? He glanced toward a nearby tunnel entrance. Why do these things always happen on discount days? Civilians began peeking out from parking structures and bank vaults. Some filmed, some prayed, some just stared at the smoking ruins of what had once been the most feared fleet in the galaxy. The man in the yellow suit just wandered off, muttering about transit delays and spinach prices. Above, satellites recorded everything. Watchtower arrays, LexCorp surveillance bots, government defense grids, even the back computer deep beneath Gotham, all running facial scans, heat mapping, power signature tracking. None of it made sense. No energy surge, no dimensional breach, no flight mechanics, no biological markers. Just a bald man in a cheap costume who had taken down an alien invasion fleet and looked bored doing it. In the wreckage of a downed warship, a Thanagarian officer's helmet flickered. Its black box uploaded encrypted sensor logs to a deep space archive. That footage wouldn't just reach Earth's governments. It would be intercepted by something far older, far darker, something watching from beyond dimensions. And in the shadows of the multiverse, a presence stirred. Something that doesn't like anomalies. Something that breaks universes when rules are broken. But for now, Earth was safe, because someone had shown up. Not a god, not a champion, not a legend, just a man, with one punch. The Batcave was silent. Silent, except for the hum of 17 processors working in tandem. Bruce Wayne stood in front of the primary console, still wearing his boardroom suit. His jaw was locked, his eyes flicking across multiple holographic displays. There were no answers, only data, and the data made less sense with every frame he analyzed. He replayed the footage again. The same intersection, the same moment. Frame 1, empty street, rubble, smoke. Frame 2, a bald man in a yellow jumpsuit just exists. No energy displacement, no dimensional flash, no particle trail, no quantum ripple, not even teleportation residue. He didn't arrive. He didn't walk in. He was just there. Behind Bruce, Alfred placed a cup of coffee on a side table. No words, just habit. He'd seen this level of obsession before, only it usually came with a Joker card or kryptonite. This was different. Bruce isolated the moment again, zoomed into the frame where the man first appeared, ran thermal scans, spectral breakdowns. Nothing. Null signature, he muttered. Not zero, not blocked, just absence. He ran facial recognition through Interpol, NSA, Argus, LexCorp employee databases, Justice League archives, Arkham Asylum escape logs, Earth-wide surveillance from the last 15 years. The result was worse than criminal. No match. Not no criminal record. Not inconclusive. Nothing. The man didn't exist. Bruce's fingers danced over controls, pulling up Thanagarian warship schematics. He overlaid the footage of the first punch, the one that crushed a warship like a soda can, and started calculating. Nth metal hull, structural limit, 800,000 psi. Superman could match that with effort, with focus, with strain. But this man? No bracing, no tension, no acceleration curve, no visible windup. Just tap, flick, crumple. Bruce froze the frame. The punch itself had been captured by a city drone camera. First frame, fist makes contact. Next frame, warship already folding. He reran it 17 times. Different algorithms. Even tried predictive AI overlays. Same result. The ship crumpled before the force should have landed. He wasn't just powerful. He was untethered. Not strength. Not durability. Something else. Something far worse. The back computer chimed. A secure call. Bruce answered. The screen lit up. Superman hovered above the Atlantic Ocean. His cape was still. His face unreadable. But Bruce saw it. The furrow at his brow. The tension in his shoulders. Clark Kent had only looked like this 3 times before. Once after Doomsday. Once after failing to save a collapsing star system. And once after finding Kryptonian remains on a dead moon. You saw it, Bruce said. Superman nodded. By the time I arrived, it was over. I scanned the wreckage. Bruce, those ships weren't destroyed. They were compressed. Not exploded, folded in on themselves. He hesitated. It's like structural integrity just gave up. Bruce brought up analysis overlays. The force required to collapse those ships that cleanly, 800,000 pounds per square inch. Superman, that's planetary force. You could match it with effort. I know, Clark said quietly. But he didn't try. He didn't even seem interested. Bruce pulled up another scan. Look at this. No radiation, no magic, no energy displacement. Just raw kinetic impact. Superman's face darkened. Bruce, he was bored. The silence between them stretched. Bruce broke it. Could you have stopped that invasion? Clark didn't answer immediately. His voice was low when he finally spoke. Yes, but I would have needed to disable the ships carefully. Minimize collateral damage. Protect civilians. Coordinate with the League. It would have taken 8 to 10 minutes. Bruce didn't reply. Superman continued, almost reluctantly. He did it in 90 seconds. No finesse. No plan. Just overwhelming force. No concern for structure, rescue, long-term impact. He just deleted the threat. Bruce brought up one final video. Frame 312. The moment all 11 warships fired at once. A hellstorm of energy fire. Enough destructive power to level a continent. Bruce zoomed in on the center. The man didn't flinch. No force field. No defensive stance. No brace. He just stood there and took it. Clark studied the frame. His eyes narrowed. That level of energy should vaporize reinforced bunkers. Bruce nodded, and his cape didn't even burn. Superman leaned forward. That's not durability. That's ignoring reality. Bruce's fingers moved again. He brought up satellite infrared data, a heat map of Metropolis. Then came the anomaly. A void. Not cold, not hot, not neutral. A blue hole in the thermal spectrum. He has no body heat, Bruce said. Not low, not hidden, just missing. Clark hovered closer to the screen. You're saying he's not alive? I'm saying the universe doesn't know what he is. Suddenly, a new alert flashed on Bruce's screen. Oracle's icon popped up. Barbara Gordon's voice came through. Batman, we've got a ping. Social media is exploding. Not just about the invasion. Multiple people claim they saw the man before today. Bruce straightened. Where? A street vendor said he's been buying groceries all week. Always pays cash. Complains about spinach prices. Another ping. Convenience store footage. 3 nights ago, 2:13 a.m. He walks in, buys cup noodles, walks out. No floating, no powers, no threat. Bruce stared at the screen. 3 days. This man had been living in Metropolis like a normal human. No fanfare. No battle. No clue that he had just erased a full-scale planetary invasion. He pulled up profiles. Scanned for inconsistencies. Patterns. Nothing. No ID. No energy field. No rhythm. Just a man who could end the world by accident. And didn't even know it. Oracle, Bruce said. Track every cash transaction involving instant ramen over the past week. Cross-reference it with traffic cams, facial scans, store locations. I want his every movement traced. Already on it. Bruce turned back to the screen. Clark assembled the league. What's the plan? Assessment. Diana can confirm if he's divine. Barry checks Speed Force interaction. Cyborg scans for tech. Martian Manhunter stays in telepathic range. Clark's voice was cautious. You're planning contingencies. I always do. He saved lives. He broke physics. He's not a threat. He's a lost. A guy who accidentally showed up in our world. Bruce's voice dropped to a near whisper. Or someone who wasn't supposed to exist. And now the universe is rewriting itself to make room. Clark's face appeared again. You're scared of him. Bruce didn't deny it. I'm never scared. But I am cautious. Clark folded his arms. Then we talk to him. We offer him help. Not chains. Not tests. Bruce nodded slowly. We'll have a conversation. His fingers tapped a key. And I'll have 17 contingency plans ready before he finishes his sentence. Metropolis. Centennial Park. 3 p.m. Birds chirped. A breeze moved the leaves gently across the sidewalks. Pigeons circled the old statue of Superman that loomed in the center. But the real action wasn't at the statue. It was at the park bench. There, casually seated in a faded yellow jumpsuit, was the man who made a planetary invasion look like a training session. Saitama. Plastic grocery bags dangled from one hand. The other held a half-eaten rice ball. He munched slowly, absent-mindedly tossing crumbs to a group of pigeons at his feet. His face was unreadable, blank, almost bored. Across the park, behind disguised trees, bushes, and coffee vendors that weren't actually vendors, the Justice League watched. From a rooftop, Batman. Hovering silently in the air, Superman. Face shifted in another dimension. Martian Manhunter. Blended with shadows under the statue, Wonder Woman. Watching from time-frozen air, The Flash. Integrated into a nearby bench, Cyborg. They were all there, watching one man feed birds. Is this him? Barry whispered. Confirmed. Cyborg replied through the calm facial scan. Thermal void. That's our anomaly. Superman floated down, landing softly on the grass. No cape flutter. No entrance blast. Just calm. He walked toward the bench. Saitama didn't flinch. Didn't turn. Didn't react. He just offered a rice ball towards Superman without looking. You hungry? Clark paused. This wasn't arrogance. It wasn't confidence. It was a man who didn't care who stood in front of him. I'm Superman, he said gently. Saitama shrugged. Cool. Superman sat beside him. I saw what you did last night. With the ships. Saitama chewed. They were loud. And annoying. I was getting milk. Clark tried again. You saved the city. Possibly the planet. Saitama flicked a pigeon crumb with a precision that would have made Hawkeye weep. I guess. Didn't really think about it. Superman stared at him. You destroyed 11 high-level warships in under 2 minutes. MHM. No injuries. No effort. No retaliation. You just ended them. Saitama wiped his hands. Was that wrong? Superman looked away for a moment. No. It was heroic. But unexpected. We've never seen anything like you before. Saitama scratched his bald head. Well, I'm kind of used to that. Clark leaned forward, his tone sincere. We want to help you. Understand you. Maybe work with you. Saitama blinked. You want to hire me? Sort of. We're a team. The Justice League. We handle threats together. Saitama let out a dry laugh. Threats. He looked at Superman for the first time with actual emotion in his eyes. I haven't seen a real threat in 3 years. Clark's face remained calm. That's incredible. No, it's boring. The statement hit harder than a Kryptonian uppercut. Saitama continued, voice low. Every fight ends with one punch. Every villain has the same speech. Every plan collapses the moment I care enough to throw a fist. He turned to Superman, expression dead serious. I'm not a hero anymore. I'm a man pretending to care, hoping something punches back. Superman felt something shift. This wasn't just strength. It was loss. The loss of challenge. The loss of meaning. The loss of self. Clark nodded slowly. I know what it's like. To feel disconnected. To lose a part of yourself to your power. Saitama smirked. You do. I grew up hiding who I was. Holding back. Watching people suffer while I floated above, wondering if I should step in. He looked out over the park. But I found purpose. In helping. In teamwork. In hope. Saitama raised an eyebrow. Do you pay rent? Superman blinked. What? Rent. Utilities. Laundry. Grocery bills. Clark laughed. Well, not exactly. Saitama nodded knowingly. See, that's the problem. He stood up, crumpling the rice ball wrapper. You've got gods, aliens, billionaires. But you don't have dudes like me. The ones who wake up to an empty fridge and still save the world before dinner. Superman stood too. That's why we need you. I don't do capes, Saitama said. Superman looked him up and down. You wore one yesterday. That was laundry day. Clark smiled. You don't have to commit. Just come meet the team. See what we do. We're not perfect, but we fight for the right reasons. Saitama hesitated, then shrugged. Got nothing better to do until the sale starts at 5 o'clock. Superman nodded to the team in his comms. Stand down. He's coming. Justice League Watchtower. 30 minutes later, the teleport pad glowed. Saitama stood in the center, hands in pockets. Diana was the first to greet him. I am Wonder Woman. He nodded. Nice boots. She didn't react. Martian Manhunter tilted his head. His mental shield is not a shield. It's a void. A blank page that erases probes. Cyborg ran a scan. Still nothing. No heat. No aura. He's the least scannable thing I've ever seen. Flash zipped in. Okay, wait. Are you the bald guy who destroyed the ships without sweating? Saitama nodded slowly. Barry gasped. Teach me. Saitama, eat vegetables. Do squats. Batman stepped out from the shadows. No smile. No greeting. Just one line. Who trained you? Saitama stared. Me. Batman narrowed his eyes. There must be a source. A mutation. A serum. An event. Saitama, 100 push-ups. 100 sit-ups. 10 kilometers run. Every day. For 3 years. Everyone froze. Batman, you're lying. I'm not. Then you're broken. Saitama shrugged. You're not wrong. Diana stepped forward. What is it you seek? Saitama looked at her. And for the first time since the warships, his voice softened. I don't know anymore. Later. Private quarters. Superman and Batman stood alone. Clark crossed his arms. Well. Bruce exhaled. He's telling the truth. Clark raised an eyebrow. That workout? That origin? Bruce nodded reluctantly. No readings. No lies. No deceit. He's just what he says he is. Clark looked out the window of the watchtower. A man who trained so hard, he broke reality. Bruce's voice was low. Clark, there are no limits on him. I know. No moral anchors. No weaknesses. No boundaries. Clark turned. But also no ego. No agenda. No hunger for power. Bruce didn't answer. Clark placed a hand on his friend's shoulder. For once, Bruce, we're not facing a threat. Bruce whispered, not yet. Back on Earth. 5:02 p.m. Saitama walked into the grocery store. The egg sale had just started. He grabbed a basket, nodded at the cashier, and walked toward aisle 3. Behind him, in another dimension, gods and aliens debated his existence. But all Saitama cared about was that he remembered to bring his coupons this time. Because in a universe full of heroes, monsters, invaders, and deities, he still had to make rent. 5:05 p.m. Metropolis. Grocery, aisle 3. It was supposed to be a quiet evening. Saitama was holding a carton of eggs. Label read, Farm Fresh. Buy one get one free. The fluorescent lights buzzed softly overhead. A baby cried in the distance. A radio played a corny love song on low volume in the background. Saitama squinted at the expiration date until a black ripple tore through the air like a silent scream. The carton fell. Crash. It never hit the floor. A monstrous claw snatched it midair, then crushed it like wet paper. Black ooze dripped from between talons. Shoppers screamed. Shopping carts scattered. Through a wormhole of ash and electricity stepped 5 parademons, servants of apocalypse, armored, winged, armed with apoca rifles and rage. The lead parade mon scanned the store. Its voice was a wet hiss. Subject located. Orders, subdue. Saitama stood still. Gooey yolk dripped from his boots. His voice was flat. You could have just asked for the eggs. The nearest parade mon charged, too fast for normal eyes. But Saitama didn't move. He simply shifted his foot. The tile cracked. Boom. The first parade mon exploded into bone dust. No punch, just pressure. The others hesitated. That hesitation lasted 0.4 seconds too long. Saitama vanished. Thwack. One embedded into a freezer. Slam. Another folded in half midair. Crunch. A third went through the ceiling. The last one tried to fly. Mistake. Saitama appeared above it, standing on air. No flying in the store. He tapped it on the head. Just tapped. The parade mon fell like a meteor, shattering the bread aisle into flour clouds and twisted shelves. Silence. Not a single shopper screamed anymore. They all just stared at the bald man covered in egg yolk. Saitama dusted off a chip bag, pulled one out, and chewed. 5 guys in bird suits ruined my shopping. Justice League Watchtower, emergency alert. Red sirens flashed. Apocalypse breach detected. Metropolis quadrant. Supermarket level incursion. Cyborg stared at the screen. This doesn't make sense. Parademons don't operate this small. They attack in hordes, not grocery stores. Batman leaned over. They weren't attacking the store. They were targeting him. Diana folded her arms. Darkseid never wastes troops. If he sent parademons after this man. Clark's eyes narrowed. Then he knows something we don't. Elsewhere, deep space. Apocalypse throne room. Darkseid sat like a mountain of cruelty carved from obsidian. His eyes glowed without blinking. Before him, a hologram replayed the footage from the grocery store. 5 parademons destroyed in under 3 seconds. Darkseid said nothing. A voice behind him crackled from shadow. Shall we escalate? Darkseid didn't turn. No, not yet. Then what, my lord? Darkseid's voice was calm, thunderous. Observe. He is not part of the prophecy, and yet he disturbs the pattern. Let the earth react. Let the champions tremble. And when they fall, then I will greet the bald one myself. Back in Metropolis. 6:01 p.m. Saitama stood at the ruins of the store. Sirens howled. Cops tried to cordon the area. Superman landed beside him. You okay? Saitama pointed to a crushed egg carton. Sale ended before I got a replacement. Clark looked around at the devastation. We need to talk. Saitama sighed. I'm guessing this isn't about groceries. Clark nodded. We think Darkseid is testing you. Sending bait. To measure your power. Darkseid, a tyrant god. From Apocalypse. His goal is anti-life. Control. Despair. He's tried to conquer Earth more times than I can count. Saitama blinked. And you haven't stopped him yet? Clark smiled dryly. He's persistent. Saitama grabbed a new chip bag from the floor. What's he want with me? We don't know yet. But if he's targeting you this early, it means you've broken the balance. You're not part of any timeline he predicted. Saitama crunched a chip. Cool. You're not worried? I've punched gods before. Superman looked at him. No, you've punched monsters pretending to be gods. He placed a hand on Saitama's shoulder. This one's different. Justice League War Room. The table was full. Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Martian Manhunter, The Flash, Green Lantern, Cyborg, and now, Saitama. Bruce stood at the head of the table. Here's what we know. He tapped a holomap. Parademon portals blinked across Earth. Multiple small incursions. Coordinated, but targeted. Only places with high-value metahumans were hit. Cyborg added, except one. He zoomed into the supermarket. No high-value targets. No alien relics. No tech hubs. Just him. Saitama slurped from a juice box. Was a good sale. Bruce stared. Why did you fight? They dropped my eggs. Clark smiled. Bruce didn't. Saitama, if Darkseid is watching, you've become the X Factor. A wild card in a cosmic equation. Diana leaned forward. We need to prepare Earth's defenses. Now, Green Lantern raised a hand. Shouldn't we go after Apocalypse directly? Saitama shrugged. I'll go. They all turned. What? Saitama stood. I'm bored. He seems interesting. Bruce, you can't just walk into Apocalypse. Saitama, why not? Diana, you'd be outnumbered 1,000,000 to 1. Saitama looked around the room, slowly. I'm always outnumbered. Flash grinned. Okay, that was cool. Meanwhile, Gotham. 9:14 p.m. Night had fallen. Rain slicked the rooftops. Batman stood alone, watching the city breathe beneath him. Saitama appeared behind him without a sound. You're the only one who doesn't smile, Saitama said. Bruce didn't turn. I don't trust things I can't explain. Saitama joined him on the edge. Like a man who trained so hard he broke physics? Bruce said nothing. Saitama looked at the skyline. You know what's funny? Bruce finally asked, what? I used to dream about being special. I thought it would fix everything. Life, loneliness, boredom. He looked down. But when nothing can beat you, nothing excites you. Bruce responded quietly. I live in a world of monsters. I train endlessly. I bleed for every inch. He turned. You live in a world of silence. Because no one can scream loud enough to reach you. They stood in silence for a moment. Then Saitama nodded. You get it. Batman nodded back. I do. Apocalypse, throne room. A shadow moved. Kneeling before Darkseid was a new figure, taller, with burning silver eyes. He wasn't a god. He wasn't a hero. He was someone from Saitama's past. One who was supposed to be dead. Darkseid smiled. Let the Earth enjoy its false hope. Send the weapon. Send. Garu. Location, Earth. 10 a.m. A storm without clouds darkened the skies over New York. It wasn't thunder. It wasn't rain. It was a tear in space, jagged, pulsing, bleeding light. The sky itself was screaming. From the vortex stepped a lone figure, barefoot, shirtless, muscles like coiled rage, silver hair, eyes that burned like twin collapsing stars. Garu, but not the man Saitama knew. This Garu had been reshaped, infused with raw Omega energy, carved and rebuilt by Darkseid scientists. His fists glowed with the power of broken dimensions. His aura split shadows from light. This was no longer the hero hunter. This was Darkseid's multiversal reaper. And he had one objective. Erase the defenders of this world. Leave only the bald one. Justice League watchtower alarm sirens. Cyborg systems fried the moment the terror appeared. Unknown entity descending, matching some Earth origin DNA, but heavily corrupted. It's not human anymore. Superman floated beside him. Eyes narrowed. Where is he landing? Cyborg looked up. Downtown Manhattan. Flash had already vanished. Location, Times Square. Tourists screamed. The screens went blank. Glass vibrated. Boom. Garu hit the pavement like a meteorite. A crater spread for blocks. Flash arrived first. A red blur. Sir, I'm gonna need you to. Wham. Garu didn't move, just twitched, and Flash flew backward, skipping off buildings like a stone across water. He stopped 3 miles away, conscious, barely. Wonder Woman landed next, shield raised, lasso spinning golden arcs. You don't belong here. Garu tilted his head. Neither do gods. Clang. He met her charge mid-swing with a backhand that shattered her bracers. Diana flipped mid-air, landed hard, and grinned. Good. Superman dropped down, hovering, regal, angry. You've made a mistake. Garu's voice sounded like 5 people speaking at once. I am the mistake. They collided like nuclear warheads. Sonic booms erupted. Buildings blew apart from the shockwave. The fight tore across the city, sky, streets, subways. Superman's heat vision lit up the skyline. Garu weaved between each beam like he was dancing through time. A punch landed. Blood flew. From Superman. Garu grinned. Watchtower. Cyborg, he's adapting. Every hit makes him stronger. Just like his old file said, but it's beyond regeneration now. He's rewriting reality as he fights. Batman, call Lantern. Space Sector 2814. Green Lantern Hal Jordan answered the call. On my way. He landed beside Superman just in time to see Garu grab Diana's lasso and snap it. Hal roared and unleashed everything. Green jets, missiles, prisons, beasts, constructs born of will. Garu walked through them, tore the dragon apart with his bare hands, and whispered something into Hal's ear. You don't really believe in anything. Hal dropped, just collapsed. His ring short-circuited. Fear overwhelmed him. Garu looked bored. Next. Justice League down. Flash out cold. Diana disarmed. Hal defeated. Superman bleeding. Cyborg glitching. Batman watching from above. Planning. Martian Manhunter nowhere to be seen. Enter the Bald Cape. Saitama landed with a soft thud. Plastic grocery bag still in hand. He looked around. Bodies of Earth's greatest heroes in various states of broken. Garu's back was turned. Saitama called out casually. You're late. Garu froze. Something old stirred in him. Saitama. The name broke through something ancient and alien in his head. A flicker. A memory. Flashback. Rain. A destroyed city. A punch that never reached the end of its power. 2 men. 2 paths. 1 respect. Garu screaming, don't hold back. Saitama whispering, I never do. Now, Garu turned. What are you doing here? Saitama tossed his bag to the side. I was grocery shopping. Then these flying guys interrupted me. He looked at Superman, barely conscious. You broke my egg sale. Garu cracked his neck. I'm not who I was. Saitama, neither am I. For the first time, both stood still. No sound. No music. No noise. Just one bald man and one monster. Then, boom. Garu charged. Saitama vanished. They collided. And New York blinked out for 0.3 seconds. Meanwhile, Watchtower. Cyborg screamed, did we just lose the city? Bruce, no. They moved faster than light. It's still there, rebuilding itself. John, Martian Manhunter, he's not just strong. He's becoming conceptual. Like Darkseid. Like the anti-life equation. Back on Earth, Saitama didn't punch. He just blocked. He let Garu hit him. Again and again. Mountains formed and fell from each clash. Skyscrapers rebuilt themselves out of respect. The wind ran away. Garu, why aren't you fighting back? Saitama, because you're not my enemy. Garu roared, I serve Darkseid. Saitama, no. You're still that kid who wanted to be strong to protect people. Garu faltered, just for a second, and Saitama punched. Once. Straight through Garu's aura, through his armor, through the lies. But not to kill, to remind. The blow landed in Garu's chest, and instead of exploding, it shattered the Omega corruption. Like glass. Garu collapsed, gasping. The sky cleared. Saitama stood over him. Come back. Justice League arrived slowly. Superman walked beside Saitama. Was that mercy? Saitama shrugged. I'm not a hero. Clark smiled. You could have fooled me. Garu stirred, looked up, said one word. Thank. and black lightning struck him. Zaak boom. He vanished. Gone. Back to Apocalypse. Throne of Darkseid. The god's hand clenched. So, the bald one refuses to break. He stood. Dark clouds swirled behind him. Then, I shall bring the war to him. Back on Earth. Batman approached Saitama. You're not on any record. No identity. No past. You appeared, and now the gods are trembling. Saitama, I just like punching things. Bruce, you're going to have to do a lot more than that. Saitama looked at the ruins of the city, at the people, at the broken heroes, at his crumpled bag of eggs. His voice was soft. I'm starting to care. Batman nodded. That's the most dangerous thing you could do. Final montage. Wonder Woman reforging her sword. Superman standing beneath a red sun, recharging. Martian Manhunter scanning the multiverse for anomalies. Batman locking away a glowing shard from Garu's body. Garu in a dark cell on Apocalypse, whispering Saitama's name. And Saitama sitting on a rooftop, watching the sunset. The world was no longer boring. Not anymore. Format. Red Square. The moment begins with silence. For the first time since his arrival, Saitama actually leans forward. Darkseid stands tall, smoldering in arrogance. Omega energy burns in his fists like caged stars. The skies of Earth rumble from his sheer presence. Heroes across the globe hold their breath. Batman in the Batplane, Wonder Woman on the ground, Flash vibrating through buildings, Martian Manhunter hovering unseen above. Even Superman isn't moving. But Saitama? He smiles and steps forward. Blue Square, you took a punch. Darkseid fires Omega beams again. This time they don't curve. They don't spiral. They go straight for Saitama's eyes. A direct message. Pure death. Saitama blinks. The beams hit. Smoke. Silence. The League gasps. And from the smoke emerges Saitama, brushing his cheek. That tickled. Darkseid's expression doesn't change, but his posture does. That's when Saitama vanishes. Not with a sonic boom. Not with light. Just gone. And a second later, a punch detonates in Darkseid's face. The god of Apocalypse goes flying. Yellow Square cracking the new god. Darkseid crashes into a mountain miles away, cracking it in half. Superman watches, stunned. No one's ever done that, he mutters. The League watches from across the globe. Batman zooms in. No fracture in space-time. No kinetic wave. It's like the universe ignored the laws just for him. Darkseid emerges from the rubble, and he's bleeding. Not energy. Blood. Thick, purple, god blood, trickling from the corner of his mouth like a sacrament the cosmos never wanted to see. Saitama lands nearby, almost bored. I thought you'd be stronger, he says. Red Square. Darkseid speaks. You are beyond the source wall, Darkseid growls. You walk without origin, without death. You are not part of the design. Saitama scratches his head. Is that your way of saying I'm annoying? Darkseid clenches his fist, summoning all his god tech. Boom. Time folds. Entropy ignites. He opens a portal to pure anti-life and hurls it like a spear. Saitama yawns, flicks it away. A ripple spreads across the planet. Birds fall silent. Seismic sensors everywhere spike. Then Saitama asks, are you going to talk the whole time? Green Square. Superman flinches. Superman rockets forward, trying to stop this from going too far. He grabs Saitama's arm. Wait, if you kill him. Saitama turns. His eyes meet Clark's, and Superman flinches. Just for a second. It's like staring into something too raw to look at. Not evil, not chaotic, just complete. A force that doesn't try to exist, it just is. Saitama softens. Relax, K-Guy. I'm not here to break your toys. I just wanted a challenge. He looks back at Darkseid. Maybe he's the warm-up. Purple Square, the second blow. Darkseid returns with fury. His body now armor-plated with burning glyphs of the old gods. A cannon grows from his chest, the pain engine, forged to torture galaxies. It fires. White light floods the sky. Saitama walks through it, unburned, Unaffected, he reaches Darkseid's face again. One punch. But this time, he holds back. Darkseid is knocked backward, not destroyed. Cracked. Broken ribs. One eye sealed shut, but still alive. And laughing. Brown Square, you made me feel. Darkseid stands, blood dripping. You made me feel pain. Doubt. He wipes the blood and grins like a demon. Do it again. Saitama stops. What? Darkseid steps forward. You do not understand, mortal. My existence has been untouchable for eons. Not even Krypton's last sun could make me bleed. Saitama raises an eyebrow. Darkseid, but you bring war back into my soul. Saitama, for the first time in years, smirks. So we're doing this. Darkseid spreads his arms. You and me. No armies. No tricks. Just two titans. Saitama nods. Finally, Blue Square, the world watches. Across the planet, the Justice League scrambles. Diana grips her sword tighter. Flash stares in awe. That guy just made Darkseid excited. That's not good. Cyborg calculates the outcome and blinks. There is no probability tree where we win if this goes on. Batman, watching it all, whispers, unless we change the game. Red Square, the battle escalates. Fist meets fist. Shockwaves destroy the clouds. Volcanoes awaken. Satellites drop from orbit. Every punch is like a page being ripped from physics textbooks. Darkseid roars, lashing out with war-born chaos. Saitama responds with flicks, taps, and smirking counters. He's not just fighting, he's testing. And finally, he's enjoying. For once, the man who could destroy stars by accident is smiling like a kid with a new toy. Yellow Square, you're worth my serious punch. The moment the words leave his mouth, everyone panics. Superman turns to Batman. He's holding back. Batman doesn't blink. All this time, Saitama lifts his fist. The clouds scatter. Darkseid lunges. Fists collide. Boom. The air disappears. Every window on Earth shatters. The moon shakes. And Darkseid, Lord of Apocalypse, is sent flying across space. Spinning. Crumbling. Floating. Alive but not moving. Green Square aftermath. Saitama exhales. The wind bends. The League doesn't know whether to run or bow. Superman floats down, landing beside him. You held back. Saitama shrugs. Didn't want to destroy the planet. You guys seem attached. Superman laughs. It's short but real. I've never seen anyone fight like that. Saitama looks to the sky. Neither have I. Purple Square, Batman's voice. Over comms, Batman speaks quietly. We need to talk. Now. Superman looks at Saitama. You're not going to leave, are you? Saitama grins. Not until I finish grocery shopping. He walks away, unbothered. And for the first time, the Justice League doesn't know if Earth is safer or doomed. The god who bled. Darkseid hovered over the cracked ruins of Metropolis. Blood streaked across his jaw. The kind of blood that hadn't flowed in eons. It was black, thick like tar, and sizzling on the pavement like it hated being touched by Earth. Superman couldn't move. Batman blinked. He's bleeding. No, Diana whispered, sword shaking. He's losing. The new god was stunned. For the first time in his immortal reign, someone had hit him, not just with force, but with truth. A truth that screamed louder than any Omega beam. You're not invincible. Saitama smiled. Saitama stood casually, brushing brick dust off his glove like it was dandruff. The crater from his punch stretched 3 blocks behind Darkseid. Still standing, he asked, more curious than impressed. Darkseid growled, voice low, ancient, and electric. You are not from this reality. I get that a lot. You are an anomaly. Bro, I'm just bald. Darkseid shift. Darkseid raised a trembling hand. 1,000 hidden satellites blinked to life above the stratosphere. They weren't weapons, they were transmitters. And every new god, every machine, every dimension tuned in. I am invoking Protocol Ragna Singularity, he said. Bring me the Agony Matrix. Bring me the Anti-Existence Core. Bring me the 5th World Furnace. Superman's heart sank. "That's not war," he said. "That's extinction level." Batman clenched his fists. "That's desperation. Tech of the gods." Boom tubes exploded open in the sky. Down rained impossible machines, some the size of cities, others the size of atoms, folding in and out of visible space like nightmares. Spike drones shaped like skulls latched onto air molecules. Red cubes hummed with negative energy, pulling joy out of the atmosphere. The agony matrix unfolded, a living neural network made from tortured minds, pulsing with the screams of beings that had forgotten how to die. "Deploy it all," Darkseid commanded. "I will not be humbled by this, clown." The first wave, pain. The agony matrix snapped open around Saitama. It didn't attack his body. It attacked his soul. Voices screamed at him from all directions. Simulated timelines of every failure he'd never had, every death he never stopped, every enemy he never met. A chorus of fake pain. Saitama blinked. This sounds like someone left Netflix on loud. He took one step forward. The matrix collapsed. It physically recoiled. AI tendrils shattered. The pain loops scrambled into static. The machine couldn't simulate something that had never felt loss. The second wave, unmaking. From the sky descended the anti-existence core, a swirling cube that unwrote matter just by being near it. It erased air, erased color, erased hope. It hovered an inch from Saitama's head. Reality around him began to glitch, pixelating, flattening, forgetting itself. Superman shouted, "Saitama, back off." Batman looked at the readings. He's being deleted from existence. There's no defense. It's rewriting. Wham! Saitama punched the cube. It cracked, then screamed. Not exploded, screamed. Like a child being told monsters are real. Then it died. The third wave, fire from the fifth world. Darkseid's final trick was a weapon of legend. Something he never used because it devoured timelines indiscriminately. The fifth world furnace. It was not fire. It was the burning desire of every reality trying to become the final one. It rained down in silent flames, white absolute, devouring everything in its path. Even Diana's lasso melted. Superman's cape turned to ash. Green Lantern's constructs cracked. But Saitama? He just squinted. Too bright. He reached into the core of the furnace and turned it off. Like a stove. With a single click. Justice League watches in shock. From a crumbled rooftop, the League stood still. Flash, this isn't a hero. Cyborg. He broke the furnace like it was a flashlight. Hawkgirl, I've seen gods fall. But this is something new. Wonder Woman didn't speak. She dropped her sword, kneeled, and for the first time she prayed. Not to Saitama, but to the universe. Let him stay bored. Let him never care. Because if he ever did, they'd all be dust. The cracked throne. Darkseid fell to one knee. His armor was broken. His aura flickered. The glow behind his eyes was dimming. He raised his voice across every channel, every dimension, every god. Retreat. Boom tubes blinked open. The fourth world began collapsing its forces. "No," cried Darkseid from orbit. "You can still win." "Win." Darkseid growled. "We survived." His broken fist slammed into the mother box, teleporting him away in defeat. A word never spoken before. Silence in the smoke. Saitama looked around. The sky was blue again. Superman hovered down, cape torn, eyes wide. "You just made him run. I told him I'm not interested." Superman struggled to find the words. "We've never seen anything like that. You fought the god of fear." "No," Saitama said, looking up at the clouds. "I fought a guy who talks too much." The world responds. The footage exploded across galaxies. Krypton hailed him as the unbreakable mortal. Apocalypse added his name to the forbidden walls. The Guardians of OA issued a galaxy-wide warning. Do not engage. Earth called him Baldy McGodslap. Meme pages, t-shirts, action figures, all in under 24 hours. But Saitama didn't care. He didn't even check his phone. He just wanted to know if the grocery store was open again. Batman's revelation. Later, in the Batcave, Bruce sat in silence. He'd replayed the footage 300 times, analyzed every frame. Still no energy, still no origin, still no logic. But something stuck in his throat. A question he didn't want to ask. Clark, standing behind him, finally spoke it. What if he's not a hero? Bruce closed his eyes. Then we'd better pray he never decides to be a villain. Tease for what's coming. Across the multiverse, whispers echoed. In a void beyond time, a figure watched the footage. He had no face, no voice, but he smiled and rewound the fight. Not for study, for inspiration. Fallout. The battlefield had turned to ash. Where cities once stood, silence stretched. Across the world, satellites reoriented. In space, war fleets paused mid-fire. In heaven and hell, even they watched. Saitama? He walked toward a convenience store, hands in pockets, craving a sale on noodles. The man who had just humbled Darkseid was now irritated. The energy drink aisle was still empty. The League debriefs. Inside the Watchtower, the Justice League held an emergency meeting. Superman stood at the head of the table. Wonder Woman had her arms crossed. Her lasso smoldered at the hip. Batman remained in shadow. No introductions. No small talk. He's not from our multiverse, Superman began. Not from any timeline I can trace. Cyborg chimed in. He doesn't emit energy. He doesn't absorb it. He just is. Flash leaned forward. So what do? Batman's voice was sharp. We don't touch him. The universal alarm. Across the cosmos, other forces began to stir. The Lantern Corps, terrified. They issued a silent Tier 0 threat level. Do not engage the Bald One. Do not provoke. Do not recruit. But it was too late. The multiverse had seen what he could do. And those who watched from behind the source wall began to whisper, this one is not from creation. He is from correction. Enter the Celestials of Collapse. On the edge of all known planes, the Celestials of Collapse gathered. They were beings who rewrote dying timelines. Not heroes, not villains. They simply cleaned up mistakes. Each one had a name that was a sound, a feeling, a catastrophe. And now they stared into the fabric of the DC reality. A bald man had cracked the pattern, and that could not stand. Offer of ascension. In the grocery aisle, Saitama paused. Time froze. The world winked, and before him stood a being shaped like 1,000 suns stacked on regret, a celestial of collapse. You broke what was unbreakable, it echoed. You are the error. Saitama scratched his head. You selling something? No. We offer you ascension, a seat beyond death. Become one of us. Write laws. Reshape the flow. Saitama raised an eyebrow. Do I get discounts on eggs? You will get purpose. His smile faded. For the first time, he looked interested. A glimpse of eternity. The Celestial opened a window and showed him everything. A future where he commanded realities like dreams. Where he moved stars like puzzle pieces. Where the omniverse bowed when he blinked. Everything that ever was or could be, the being said, it's yours. Silence. A long, dangerous pause. Then Saitama blinked and laughed. Saitama's answer. Nah, he said. Sounds boring. And with that, he flicked the being's forehead. It screamed, cracked, and shattered into 1 billion geometric screams across time. Even the word of its name vanished. Gods react. In the higher realms, Spectre, the Presence, and even Lucifer Morningstar looked toward Earth. Lucifer smiled. He just rejected ascension. Spectre whispered. He just denied being a god. And the Presence, the one who wrote the Book of Destiny. He paused. He turned the page. And for the first time in eternity, that page was blank. Batman's contingency. Back on Earth, in the Batcave, Bruce spoke into a recorder. Contingency Plan Omega. If the bald man ever turns hostile, Earth has no weapon, no hope, no defense. He stared at the monitor. It showed Saitama arguing with a grocery clerk about sale prices. Bruce continued. The only thing keeping us safe is that he doesn't care enough to hurt us. Wonder Woman's invitation. Diana approached Saitama the next morning. He was on a bench, feeding pigeons. She stood tall, regal, sword still cracked from the furnace. I've seen gods rise. I've seen demons fall. You're neither. Saitama didn't look up. You want a selfie? No. I want to ask, will you join us? His gaze shifted slowly. Us. The League. Not as a warrior, not as a weapon, but as a reminder. A reminder of what? That even gods need to be human. A world in awe. Across Earth, the response was overwhelming. Streets filled with murals of him punching Darkseid. Kids wore bald caps to school. One girl in Gotham named her puppy Saitama. But he didn't like the attention. He moved apartments twice. Started wearing a hoodie. Avoided cameras. Yet still, people followed. Because in a world full of darkness, they'd finally seen someone who didn't need to try to be strong. He just was. But peace never lasts. Far across the stars, behind 7 veils of antimatter, a sleeper began to stir. A hand cracked through dimensional glass. A scream rippled through the multiverse like a tsunami made of gravity. The being who judges all timelines had awakened. Why? Because Saitama had unbalanced the scale. And now, the timeline enforcer was coming to fix it. Not with war, but with erasure. Final warning. The watchtower went red. Martian manhunters stood stunned. This energy signature, it's not from any known plane. Superman's fists clenched. Something's coming. No, Batman corrected. It's already here. From the moon's shadow emerged a being taller than continents. Eyes made of time. Voice made of collapsed universes. Balance must be restored. And the sky over Earth went black. Saitama looks up. In a broken alley in Japan, Saitama felt it. He looked up, saw the sky turn into a countdown. Not fear, not awe, just mild inconvenience. He stood, popped his neck, cracked his knuckles, and said, "Guess lunch can wait." Opening shot. Earth's atmosphere shattered like glass. The timeline enforcer, known in whispers as the Regulator, descended from beyond dimension. He was not a god. He was not a villain. He was recalibration, a towering figure composed of collapsing probabilities. His bones were made of discarded timelines. His eyes, 2 ticking clocks that bled stardust. His voice, a hum that erased memories just by vibrating through space. Error detected. Individual exceeds cosmic narrative limits. Initiating multiverse reset. Around him, entire realities flickered. The past warped. The future fractured. First move. In the watchtower, Superman barely held his footing. "What is that thing?" Flash screamed. Batman's eyes scanned the data stream. He's rewriting history in real time. Whole planets are aging backward. Wonder Woman gripped her sword. "Where's Saitama?" Before anyone could answer, the moon vanished. No sound, no flash, just gone. Saitama enters the stage. In a small Tokyo alley, Saitama stood still. Dust settled on his shoulder, a noodle cup still in his hand. He looked up. The sky blinked, then twisted, then cried, "Ugh, not this again." One jump. A shockwave turned clouds into vapor. And the man who wanted a normal sail on eggs was now headed directly toward the Enforcer. Clash of paradox. The Enforcer didn't speak this time. He collapsed logic around Saitama. Space-time bent like rubber. Days looped in seconds. Gravity reversed itself. But none of it worked. Saitama kept flying forward. His hoodie tore apart. His glove flexed. And with a straight face, he threw one punch. Boom. The Enforcer staggered back. Not from damage, but from confusion. Impact. Not logical. Mass exceeds metaphysical boundaries. Saitama. Yeah, people say that. The multiverse reacts. In every timeline, beings paused. In the Marvel Universe, the Living Tribunal looked toward DC. In the dark multiverse, Barbados froze mid-laugh. In the realm of the endless, Destiny dropped his book. Because they all felt the punch. Not just power, but resistance. Reality had pushed back, and it hurt. The Enforcer adapts. The Regulator recalculated. He grew, now miles tall, spines of time erupting from his back. Echoes of infinite Saitamas across history surged toward him, and he devoured them. I am now the sum of all who could have been you. You cannot defeat what you never were. Saitama landed on a building, dusting off his hands. No offense, giant guy, but I don't really care about what I could have been. His eyes narrowed. I'm good at one thing. Second strike. The second punch didn't echo. It didn't break space. It just disconnected part of the Enforcer's arm from existence. No debris, no scream, just deletion. The Enforcer panicked. For the first time in its unending duty to balance time, it couldn't comprehend this anomaly. And so, it pulled out the final protocol. The final protocol. The sky turned black. The stars disappeared. And the Enforcer summoned the Needle of Never, a weapon that rewinds the attacker's existence to before they were ever conceived. It aimed for Saitama, but he was already there, fist raised. No yelling, just contact. The needle shattered, and the Enforcer bled memory. Entire centuries of stored knowledge evaporated like fog. A hero steps in. As the Enforcer stumbled, trying to rebuild its own timeline, a new figure appeared beside Saitama. Not Superman, not Batman, Martian Manhunter. He hovered silently, eyes glowing green. You can't destroy it, he said calmly, but I can hold it. Saitama raised an eyebrow. What's the plan? John, you hit it so hard it forgot how to defend. I'll enter its mind while it rebuilds. Saitama grinned. Psychic tag team? Let's go. The mind invasion. Inside the Enforcer's consciousness, Martian Manhunter swam through collapsing dreams. It wasn't chaos. It was a prison. He saw every erased timeline. The Earth where Superman turned evil. The world where Bruce died instead of his parents. The forgotten war where Wonder Woman destroyed Olympus. All the failures. All the moments the Enforcer corrected. But John did not flee. He whispered a question. Who told you to fix the universe? The core truth. Deep inside the Enforcer's heart, a forgotten voice answered. The multiverse made me. I was built to stop anomalies. But anomalies are all that's left. I don't want to destroy. I only want to rest. Martian Manhunter's eyes widened. You're tired. You don't want to kill him. You just don't know how to stop. Outside, the Enforcer froze. Its weapons lowered. And for the first time, it whispered, I surrender. Saitama's final punch. But peace never comes easy. As Enforcer bowed, a backup failsafe activated. A beam of pure deletion from the source wall itself targeted both the Enforcer and Earth. Saitama looked up. The League screamed at him to dodge. Martian Manhunter yelled from inside the Enforcer's mind. But Saitama? He turned to the Enforcer and said one word. Duck. He launched straight into the beam. The sacrifice. Time stopped. The beam never reached Earth. The multiverse held its breath. Then, light exploded. Not destruction. Creation. A new star was born where the beam and Saitama collided. The beam was gone. The failsafe failed. The Enforcer blinked and wept. 1 second later, Saitama stood on the moon, unharmed, holding a hot dog. No sauce though. Lame. The League teleported to him instantly. Superman hugged him. Batman almost smiled. Martian Manhunter hovered, silent. The Enforcer? It knelt on a meteor, eyes closed. I'm free. The ending that wasn't. The world celebrated. They named Saitama an honorary founder of the Justice League. But he declined. He didn't want medals, or statues, or interviews. He just wanted to know, did the sail on eggs come back? It began with silence, not just on Earth, but across galaxies. Superman stood above the clouds, watching the stars realign. Wonder Woman lowered her sword and whispered an old Amazonian prayer. Batman ran diagnostics that returned impossible results. The multiverse index was at 0 volatility. Everything was calm, too calm, because calm wasn't natural. Not in a universe that had just rewritten itself to survive Saitama. Across dimensions, beings older than light took notice. The Spectre hovered near the edge of the source wall, staring at the impact crater left by Saitama's last punch. It wasn't just power, it was correction, without programming, intent, or ego. The kind of action not even destiny could predict. Somewhere deep in the multiversal roots, the Monitor and Anti-Monitor held a rare meeting. "What is he?" the Anti-Monitor asked. The Monitor didn't answer. He only said, "He wasn't born in this structure. He is a ripple from elsewhere." And ripples, they feared, were worse than storms. Back on Earth, in the Watchtower, Flash paced the room like a caffeine-fueled ghost. "So let me get this straight," he said. "He didn't die. He didn't ascend. He didn't even want a membership badge. He just left," Cyborg replied. "Left where?" Batman turned slowly in his chair, facing the screen. "That's what I intend to find out." On the Monitor, Saitama, standing on top of a grocery store in Tokyo, staring into the sky, munching on seaweed chips. But he wasn't alone. A shadow hovered beside him, not cast by light, but by thought. Dr. Manhattan. He didn't speak at first, just stood watching Saitama chew. Eventually he said, "You broke causality. And yet, the universe feels calmer now." Saitama looked sideways. "Is that bad?" Manhattan studied him. "I've seen men become gods. I've seen gods become stories. But I've never seen someone like you." Saitama shrugged. "I just wanted a quiet life." "And yet," Manhattan said, "you've killed gods, fixed timelines, stopped weapons from the dawn of time." "I didn't try to do any of that," Saitama replied. "It just kept happening." Manhattan's glow dimmed. "That's what frightens me." In Themyscira, the Oracle whispered prophecy again. Her words were shakier this time, less cryptic, more terrified. "The man with no limit will punch the lock off fate." Across the globe, mystics reported oddities. Souls reincarnating too fast. Future events suddenly becoming variable. A timeline unanchored from its spine. It was as if Saitama's punch hadn't just defeated the Enforcer. It had cracked open Destiny's firewall. Deep beneath Atlantis, Aquaman stared at an ancient mural. One he had never seen before. One that wasn't there yesterday. In it, a bald man in a cape stood atop a serpent made of timelines. His fist raised. The stars behind him forming a single dot. Not a constellation. A punch. The final punch. On the moon, Saitama stood alone again. The Justice League had offered him a place, again. He declined. Again. He didn't need a hall, a trophy, or a statue. He just wanted to watch Earth and make sure no one tried anything stupid again. "Do you think they'll come back?" he asked aloud. Behind him, a portal flickered, and from it stepped Zatanna. "Maybe," she said, "but they'll find you waiting." He turned. "You got more magical riddles for me?" She smiled, half sad, half amazed. "You punched an abstract force of narrative into a midlife crisis. No riddle I cast will top that." Saitama chuckled, then grew quiet. "Why me?" She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she reached into her cloak and pulled out a small, glowing stone. "You left this," she said. It was the keystone fragment, the last remnant of the regulator's source code. It pulsed softly, not in fear, but in rhythm, with his heartbeat. In the Hall of Justice, Superman stared at a new file on the screen. Subject, Saitama. Status, unclassified. Threat level, not applicable. Containment protocols, none. Designation, the Balancer. He didn't like it. Not because he feared Saitama. He didn't. He feared what Saitama represented. Hope without tragedy. Power without corruption. Control without desire. A being not burdened by origin or oath. Just present when needed most. Elsewhere in the Phantom Zone, General Zod knelt before a flickering image of the bald man. He didn't curse. He prayed. Because even villains understood what had happened. A force stronger than rage. more unpredictable than kryptonite, and impossible to reason with, because it had nothing to prove. Back in Gotham, Batman stood on a rooftop, alone, staring toward Tokyo. "I've studied every file, every universe, every consequence," he said aloud, knowing no one could hear. And yet a voice answered anyway. "You missed one," said a shadow. It was Ozymandias. He stepped from the darkness, holding a scroll with the Watchman insignia. "The final branch," he said. "The one timeline you forgot to calculate." Batman narrowed his eyes. "Why would you help me?" Ozymandias smirked. "Because, for the first time in infinite history, the wild card wasn't me." Somewhere in space, Darkseid awoke from his forced stasis. His armor cracked. His will splintered. "You dare humiliate me with mercy," he whispered. And then he saw it, engraved in the Omega symbol on his chest. A fist print, burned into divine metal. Even anti-life trembled. Back on Earth, a storm formed over the Himalayas. Not made of clouds, but of thoughts. The Council of Infinite Minds had reconvened. They discussed only one name, Saitama. "We must erase him," one said. "We cannot. He exists outside narrative laws," another replied. A third, older voice said, "No, we must understand him." But none dared try, because the last being who touched his mind was still lost in a loop of simplicity and boredom, trapped in a dream where all threats were solved by sale discounts and supermarket lines. In the end, it wasn't a throne he claimed, or a prophecy, or an eternal flame. It was a choice. Saitama, standing in front of a cheap mirror, shaving his head again, said softly, "I'm still me. That's all I ever wanted." He walked outside. A small kid ran past him holding a toy that looked suspiciously like a caped bald hero. "Boom. I'm Saitama. I beat the gods." The kid tripped, fell. Saitama caught him gently. "Careful," he said. "Even heroes gotta watch their step." The kid looked up, eyes wide. "Are you him?" Saitama winked. "Nah, that guy's way cooler." Then vanished down the street. Later, in a cosmic observatory buried deep in limbo, a machine beeped. A single word scrolled across an ancient screen. "Punch recorded." Another screen flashed. "Universe reboot. Stable." A final message appeared. The bald one restored balance. Again. Some say he lives in Tokyo, still clipping coupons. Some say he ascended beyond need or form. Some say he waits, bored, until the next anomaly dares challenge peace. But one thing certain, if you ever feel the universe shift, if time skips, if evil grows too loud, look to the sky and pray he's still hungry for justice, for peace, for eggs. End of story.